Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and a few weeks ago we got an insane article from the Daily Beast saying that the Terminal List is an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. Now, at the time, I hadn't seen the Terminal List yet, but I had read the article, did a video on it, and since then I have watched the Terminal List, and I have to say it was an incredible show that I very much enjoyed, especially the psychological nature of it, but it was definitely not right-wing in any way, shape, or form. And now that Daily Beast article is locked to subscribers only, so I've only got the headline here from the Bounding in Comics, which is a great website, and it's just really strange that they're attacking it. Wait, no, it's not so strange. It's that it's politically neutral. And we have a lot of interesting comments here from the creator of the Terminal List, Jack Hark, that we're going to be getting into in a moment here, that is in response to this article and articles like it that said similar things about the Terminal List. But before we jump into that, I wanted to point out that this show, whatever it is, whether or not it's political or not, which I firmly believe that it is not in any way, it topped out The Boys on Amazon Prime, which is insane. I'm not really a fan of The Boys anymore. I love season 1, but really tapered off after that. But I recognize it is one of the biggest shows that Amazon Prime has ever had, and one of the biggest streaming shows that we've seen in a very long time. And the fact that the Terminal List, which had like half the budget, was able to top out The Boys season 3 in The Boys' finale, it beat it. That's just something that is very impressive to see, and really speaks to how much people wanted something like the Terminal List, a political-free action movie that wasn't trying to be anything more than it was, just a simple show, and I really enjoyed it for that as well. So that's just some really impressive stuff. But with all those articles that were coming out, all the hate from the mainstream access media and Hollywood in general for this show, Chris Pratt actually had a response to it as well. This is Chris Pratt's Instagram account. He shared a headline saying that it's the new Yellowstone, Chris Pratt's new Navy thriller. The Terminal List defies woke critics' scathing reviews to shoot up rating charts with 1.6 billion minutes of stream. Now, the Daily Mail put out that article. He just posted the headline, kind of an interesting headline, and then he kind of trolls the Daily Beast of the world and the other people who put out articles like that by saying 1.6 billion minutes. Some Dr. Evil in there, definitely appreciate that, but that's a bit of a trolling because he knows where the fans' hearts are. He knows that the fans are on his side, and that's what matters. Access and mainstream media, they don't really matter anymore because they do stuff like this. They cannot be trusted. The Daily Beast cannot be trusted after stuff like this. But the real stuff, the real meat that I wanted to get into were the comments made by Jack Hark, the writer of the books and producer on the series. He had some really great things to say about why they were hating on this show. The Terminal List creator denies the show is right-wing fantasy. Critics hate it because woke stuff isn't shoved into it. And that is something that I 100% agree with. Anything that's not uber woke is alt-right according to these people. Anything that is right of far left is alt-right. That is how these people think. And so the fact that the show was politically neutral, wasn't trying to make any political statements, it's a revenge thriller. Bad guys kill family, good guy killed bad guys. There's not really that much political in there. To be honest, that could be right-wing, left-wing, anything. This has nothing to do with politics, and he makes a great point there. It is just because he doesn't shove wokeness into it. And he does go on to have some further great comments here that I want to jump into. Jack Hark said, "There's not this woke stuff shoved into it. The author maintained the series is not politically driven, nor is it woke or anti-woke." And yeah, just really great stuff that he has there. That's a really good point. We don't mention right, left, conservative, liberal. None of those things are even mentioned. The Daily Beast in particular, their review was quite mean, but they see an American flag and they get upset. Yes, that's something that is very common these days, is that it's okay to bash the American flag and be anti-patriotic, but being patriotic is kind of a weird thing for people these days, which I find very odd. So if being patriotic means you're alt-right, that's actually a really sad thing for the left, is that they can't be patriotic anymore. That's really sad. I'm not personally left or right. I'm very much a neutral party in this, but I'm sick of woke Hollywood being so far left, and it's out of balance. There needs to be a balance. And so he makes a great point here. It's an American flag that's free of politics. Of course it's alt-right in their opinions. It's really insane to see coming from these people. Or they see someone who's competent with weapons and has a certain mindset and holds those in power accountable for their actions, and they just lose it a little bit. That's a great point as well. The weapon side of things make them think that it's alt-right as well, which it has no politics. A lot of shows, a lot of movies and stuff use weapons because it's a good vehicle for stuff. It's good for action, stuff like that. It's not trying to make a political statement. Even shows and movies made by very far left people include guns and competence with guns because it makes for great action movies, and they realize that as well. But right now, there's just too much of that on the terminalist side of things. So of course, it's all fancies. We didn't make it for critics, Carr said, and that is something that needs to be remembered a lot in Hollywood these days. Is you need to make it for the fans. Have some customer service, is what I like to say. Fans, they're not consumers, they're customers. You need to entice them. You need to woo them, honestly, because they are customers, not consumers. Customer service is an art form that has been utterly lost in Hollywood these days because Hollywood makes movies for the critics these days. That has just degraded their integrity and the trust that fans can have in them. What's important to me and to Chris Pratt was that we made something that would speak to those members of the military who went downrange over the last 20 years so that they could sit down and say, these guys put in the work and made a show that speaks to me. And that's completely different than trying to be relatable to an external attribute of a person. Like if he had been saying, oh, we wanted to make this so that white people could relate to it. No, that would be just as insane as the other stuff I cover on this channel. But military stuff, that is an actual shared experience that can be depicted and related to by people across all racial gender divides. And that's something that's very important to point out, is that I'm okay with them gearing a show towards something like that for accuracy because it's a shared experience. It's not superficial attributes that they're trying to relate to. And I never went downrange when I was in the military. I never did anything like that. I was never in combat. But there were things in the show that I definitely recognized and could relate to and could see the authenticity of it. Even though I was in a different branch, the authenticity was very palpable in the show. And that's something that I very much appreciated. He wanted to say that it avoids a woke agenda. There's no woke or anti-woke. And that's an important thing, is people I've started to get this term anti-woke and start to associate it with some negative things and go a little too crazy with the term anti-woke. And it's not really as big of a thing as people like to make it out to be. I'm very much against woke, so by definition, I guess I'm anti-woke, but I want political neutral. I don't want it to go far right. And when it comes to wokeness, I can be okay with anything if there's good writing. That's my biggest problem with wokeness, is it's more often than not used as an excuse to cover up bad writing, as an excuse to just attack the fans if they disagree with the writing and anything like that. If there's a balance in politics, if there's default neutral, that's my big thing, is default neutral and good writing, I will be happy. But this whole anti-woke thing is getting a little over the top, in my opinion, in circles. And yeah, it's not promoting any agenda whatsoever, and they hate it for that, as he says there. And that's really a good way of putting it. The Daily Beast hates it for not being woke, and that's a bad thing. And so some really interesting comments here from Jack Carr, the creator of the Terminal List, and from Chris Pratt himself. And as these numbers prove, fans are on their side, and the Daily Beast is not winning anyone over with their insane articles. Fans will support what they want, and the mainstream and access media have very little influence over them these days because they've repeatedly proven that they are not on the side of the fans or the viewers. They are on the side of the woke companies. And that's something that we will not abide. We will support what we want to support, and that is being proven with the Terminalists so well. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.